Well then, it is day 9 on this alien world. Last time I set myself up with a new little farm and a farming robot to go with it. The next step is to test out the farming robot and make sure it works properly. But in order to do that, I am going to need to grow some crops, and in order to grow some crops, I am going to need to find some ice. So the big thing on today's agenda is locating some ice. And then we can bring that back and we can throw it into our irrigation system and we can see if this whole thing works. But before I do that, there's a few little adjustments I would like to make around the base. So let's go and have a look at those. Okay then, to facilitate these little adjustments I want to make, I'm going to build myself a little floating building platform. So we'll add another head back onto there. And then we'll add a few blocks up here to start building from. So I'll put one of my modded thrusters down there. I'll have a battery on the front up there to power it. And then we will have a control helm at the front so we can see what we're doing whilst piloting it. And then we can have a bunch of small thrusters around the sides. Right, next I'm going to put an event controller down here so it can automatically turn things on and off when I dock it up. And on the subject of docking, we're going to need a docking port, so I'm going to put a beam block there. Then I'm going to lift him up a little bit. And for the moment we are just going to put a small connector down there. We're also going to need a gyroscope to control it, so I'm going to pop one under there as well. Oh, spiders. Where are they? Where are they? And there it is. There you go. Thank you, guns. Oh, acid rain. And in case we fall off and can't reach the damn thing again, we are going to put a remote control block on there. Ow, just getting hit by acid rain. I might have to go indoors. Ooh, there's a spider in my base. Well, that wasn't good. Definitely need some interior guns, I think. Right, well I think I actually want to build this thing with some landing legs on it, so I'm going to take these thrusters out here and replace them in a minute. And I think what I'm going to do is build a bunch of small hinges and put some suspension blocks on the end of them. And then we can place some suspension blocks on the end of here. Okay, now that those landing legs and the suspensions are welded up, I want a way of accessing this thing without having to jump. So let's put a ladder on the back of here. There we go. And I should be able to climb up that and access the platform. Sweet. Here, skittering again. Oh, there we go. You gonna do your job there, gun? Thank you. Any other spiders? No, right. Back to welding this thing up. And I think I might actually add a few more suspension blocks to the side of this thing to act as bumpers so we don't smack into whatever we're trying to build. So if I take these blocks out of the sides and then replace them with some more suspensions, then hopefully that will help keep us a little bit protected when we approach things. And I think it might be a good idea to build some kind of safety rail so I don't fall off by mistake. And they're back again. Where are you? I heard you. There you are. Where are you? There you are. Okay, so that is the handrail done. And to make things a little bit easier to see when we're operating in the dark, let's add a few floodlights to the side. And then maybe a couple of spotlights on the front and back. Okay then, that looks about ready to test. So we will get it set up, get its thrusters back on and its battery back on, and we'll give it a test run. Right, so we'll turn his thrusters back on. He'll make a horrible noise for a second. We'll detach that arm. We'll bring it back down. And it seems to be flying. Awesome. There we go, that works nicely. Got a decent amount of lift. It can fly in all directions. And it can land fairly safely. Sweet. Right, well that seems to be working alright. One thing I do want to do is add a camera to the bottom so I can see where it's landing when it's docking. And I also need to add a antenna so that I can operate it remotely occasionally. So I think I'm actually going to remove this remote control and I'm going to put it in the center instead, and then have a camera directly on the bottom of that so we can see where we're going. And then we'll squeeze an antenna into there. There we go. So now I should be able to operate it remotely. Fantastic. And then I think maybe for storing some essential building parts, I might take a bit out of that railing at the back on either side and put in a storage barrel. And then maybe we could put some more beam blocks around the outside of that to cover it a little bit. And so if I set up a bunch of components to build, I can then throw them into the barrels. And then I can have a bunch of parts on hand when I need them. Awesome. Okay, so now I should be able to set up some basic docking controls for this guy. So we'll set that event controller to connector locked, unlocked. Docking port as the trigger. And then basic controls, all we need for now is battery to go on recharge and enable auto. We'll have thrusters turn on and off. I'll have that gyroscope turn on and off. And speaking of docking, I should probably think of a decent place to build it a little docking port. And I think somewhere around here would be a good spot, where it's right next to that cargo container. So I think I'll add another scaffold platform there, and then we'll have a little platform out of armor block and have an inset connector in the middle of that. In fact, I'm going to change some of the block to these ones. And then if we take our new little skiff building platform, lower it down here. There we go, that lines up, that can dock, that can connect, everything turns off, battery goes on to recharge. Wonderful. And then at the back we can put a little staircase. Oop, spiders. And I think we'll also extend the platform out a little bit at the front and back, so we can squeeze in a few handrails. and also a few little armor plates to help us align ourselves with the docking platform. Right then, now that we've got that little docking platform set up, let's make some adjustments to this base. Okay, so the first thing I actually want to change is this conveyor pipe. I want to raise it up a block or two so I can get some of the larger mechs that I have and I'm going to build underneath it. So I'm going to completely change the way that is plugged in. I'm going to swap that out there, and then we'll put a row of pipes up at the top. And then we'll just go across like so. That looks a little bit better. Now we just have to get it welded up. Right then, that is that rebuilt. Just need to take out that support structure. Okay, so another thing that has been bugging me is random parts keep ending up in my Wanderer's little storage pod at the back. And I don't want that to happen, so I need to put in some kind of sorter system to manage that for me. So I think we will redo some of the piping on the back of this building. So we'll have one sorter feeding in, one sorter feeding out. Right, now we just need to get that welded back up. Okay, that is the new piping system all done. We just need to set these sorters up. Okay, and we will just sort out that in sorter to only allow Gatling ammo through, at least for the moment. And I think that will do with that bit. Okay, so my power output has increased a little bit, and these wind turbines aren't doing enough by themselves to generate enough power. So I think I will add some solar panels to the roofs of some of my buildings. So I think I'll start by placing some half scaffolds down the centre. And then we can have some solar panels hanging off the side of them. Okay, that is some more solar panels, and I might add a few more beam blocks just as a little bit more security for them. Right then, we'll go and see what difference that has made to our power input. Current input 621, current output 570. Okay. I might add a few more solar panels to another one of the roofs, and then that should put us well into the positive. Okay, so we should be able to get another 4 solar panels comfortably up on this roof. Right, that is another bunch of solar panels done. Let's go and see what that's doing for our power input. And now, with those extra solar panels, we are taking in almost 750 kilowatts. Not great, but it is roughly 25% more than what we are outputting, so that'll do for the moment. Right then, one other thing I want to change is I want to change these doorways to the new ones that we've got. So let's get rid of these. And I'm going to swap it for this lovely new glass sliding door. And then we just need to set that door to open and close. There we go. Awesome, right. Now I'm going to do this with all of the other doors. Right then, that is all of the doors rebuilt, all the way through my outpost. And I think that's much nicer. And on the subject of doors, I'd like to try and put one here, in between the workshop and the Wanderer's docking bay. So let's take out these windows, and then maybe we could have a door there. Oop, spiders. More spiders. Come on, guns. Come on, guns. Come on, guns. There we go. And then I might put a set of stairs in the middle. We could have a pair of windowed corridors either side of those stairs. And then we'll have some half windows either side of that. Right, and then we can tuck a sensor in there for that door. And then we can pop another sensor up here for that door. And while I'm here, I might cover that up with a few of those armor plates. And we might put a few of those on the side as well. And now we have a nice little route from one workshop into the other. Nice. Right, so I think the skip deserves a better colour scheme than drab and boring grey. So let's make it look a bit prettier. There we go, it's got a little bit of colour to it now. Added a little bit of a extra platform to the side so it's a little bit easier to reach out. Yeah, I think that looks much nicer. Yeah, that looks much prettier. Well, now that we've made all of those little upgrades to the base, I think it is time to go and find some ice for our farm. But there's still a little bit of a gaping hole at the back of the drill rig, so I'm going to quickly fill that in, armour it up a little bit, and then we'll be on our way. Okay then, now that that is welded up and has a little bit of extra colour to it, we can go on an ice adventure. Right then, off we go. Let's go and find some ice. Now, I've been over there, and all that's over there is more rocks, more lumpy terrain, and a pirate base. Up there is just mountains, there's no ice there. I haven't really been over there yet, and there's an unknown signal, so let's go and grab that and see if there's ice in that direction. Right, let's see what's in this unknown signal. Oh, we've got a meal pack. Clang Crunchies. Fill value. Unknown. Okay, that's new. And some fruit seeds. That's pretty good. No fabulous prizes. Well, we'll grind it down anyway. Well, it doesn't look like there's any ice over here. But that looks like a lake bed. Let's have a look over there. Ah, just what I wanted. That looks like a nice big sheet of red ice. Right, how do we get down there safely? Well, it is indeed a huge sheet of ice. And it's not too far from my base either. It's only about 1 kilometre over there. That's pretty good. Right then, let's mine some of this, take it back to base. Right, now for a little bit to take back to the base, I think I'm going to move over here into the corner, because I've got an idea for this ice lake, and I don't want to be digging a huge hole in the middle of it just now. So we'll just drill a little hole over here in the corner to take a sample from. Okay, so we've got just over 50 tons of ice. That's a good little start for us. Right, let's head back to base then. If we can even find a way out of this lake. Right, back at the base. Let's lock down and see if that starts pulling ice into our irrigation system. And there we go, we now have ice in our irrigation system. Fantastic. Right, that means we can do a proper test on our farming robot. But I've only got a minimal amount of fruit, vegetable and grain seeds. I do have plenty of mushrooms. So we make a bunch of mushroom spores to test this with, seeing as these things are readily available on this planet. They're probably the best one to go with. So if I put those seeds on my toolbar, select them like so. How many have I got? 10 for now. We will plant a bunch of mushroom spores. We will wait to see how they grow, and we'll see if this guy does what he needs to. Right, and our crops seem to be growing well, 100% health, water level high, using 8 litres a minute, 5% growth, 7%. Yeah, it's growing at a decent rate. Shouldn't be too long. Oh, the mushrooms are making progress. They're getting there. Almost halfway. There is just never a moment's peace with you lot, is there? Right. Come on then. Where are you? That's one. Where's the other? I know you're out here. There you are. Oh, there it is. My gun's run out of ammunition again. Well then, my mushrooms are nearly ready, so let's see if the farming robot kicks into his harvesting mode properly. Here we go. Mushrooms are starting to pop up properly. And there he goes. Yep, he seems to be harvesting them correctly. Wonderful. Lovely, just what I wanted. And then he makes his way back. And then hopefully he'll dock up nicely. Awesome. And we never set up the docking sorter, so white list. We'll just put all of the fruit and veg stuff in here for the moment. Then if I hit drain all, there we go, all of the mushrooms have gone. And they only seem to have gotten as far as the docking port, because I haven't set up the docking ports sorter either, so we'll do the same with that. Add the fruit, Add the veg. Add the grain. And add the mushrooms. It's on whitelist. Drain all. There we go, the mushrooms have gone. Fantastic. Right. We have an automated docking robot. And we have 24 mushrooms in our cargo terminal. Lovely. Right then, I want to make a few little adjustments to this robot before I finish him off, because I plan on printing out another one in place here, if possible, to make setting another one a little bit easier. And if I make a few adjustments to how the beacon and his GPS waypoints are set up, I should be able to transfer them over in the blueprint as well. So if I pop a beacon on the back of here and get that welded up, we can then set up some new relative waypoints set to this one instead. I'm going to need a radio component or two. Right, there we go. That's a new beacon. Let's set up some new waypoints. Never a moment's peace. Never a moment's peace. Come on. Oh, bad time to reload. Come back here. There you are. Right. Any others? Right, so I just need to chop off all of that docking port stuff and change the beam for a moment so I can get him as far back as I can. And then we can delete all of the old waypoints. We don't need them anymore. We'll make sure we're assigned to the new beacon. And we'll add a waypoint here. There we go, there's our new waypoint. So we'll take him down the other end. Then we'll do the same again. We'll just change that beam over slightly. Bring him out a little bit further than we'd think. Add another new waypoint in here. Hit the reverse button so they're the other way around. And then we'll take him back to the start and give him a test run. Okay, let's see how well this works. There we go, that's fine to me. And is he going to come back far enough when we try and rebuild his docking connector? That should be alright. Cool, okay. We'll get the parts in for his docking connector again. I am busy. I will deal with you spiders in a minute. Right, that's all the parts rebuilt. There you go, it gets in range to connect. Fantastic. Just need to set up the FarmBot's docking connector again. Okay, so we will set the docking detect controller back to the docking port, and the docking connect controller also back to the docking port. And hopefully, when he makes his way back, he should connect back up. And there we go, he has docked back up again. Lovely. Right. I think this guy works properly. I'm just going to give him one more full test run. He launches. The lights come on, the alarm goes off. He slowly makes his way down the aisle. Gets to the end, he turns around, He makes his way back. And then hopefully he docks up properly again. Fantastic. Right. He is done. Just need to armour him up now. These spiders really are becoming a massive nuisance. I need to build some robots to deal with them for me. Right, where have you gone? Oh, you're out here. There we go. Oh, there's more than that one. Haha, you're stuck in the hole. I'm just going to leave you down there. Right, well I think we'll do a little bit of greebling on this guy to make him look slightly less skeletal and a little bit more interesting. So we'll get some access panels over those collectors. Going to get rid of this programmable block. We don't need that anymore. And I might even add a custom turret controller to this guy so that we could potentially build him some kind of little face. We could have a little rotor mounted like that. And then we could have a little hinge on the end of there. And then we could have a camera on the end of that. And now he's got a little face to look around. Right, so we will quickly set up this guy's head controls. So, head rotor for the azimuth, head hinge for the elevation, head camera for the camera. Give that a little test. All of those controls are backwards. And there we go. You can look around properly. Wonderful. Right, I think I will also put a broadcast controller in here so that the robot can send me signals on what he's doing. So, for the first signal he will send, we will have harvesting, and for the second signal he will send, we will have returning, and we will also have a signal for when he has docked. Right, so we then go to our FBot launch timer. We can add signal 1 into our launch sequence, and then if we go to our docking sensor, which is detecting the opposite wall, we can then get the robot to transmit message 2. And if we go into our docking connect event controller, we can set it to transmit message 3. So now, when he launches, he should send us a bunch of signals. There we go. He is now harvesting. He is now returning. Fantastic. And he has docked. Awesome. Right, the broadcast controller works. Right, so I want to set up this robot so he's always just looking around at stuff. So we'll enable his AI. We'll take it off that. Doesn't need to look at small ships or large ships. We'll just have him look around at characters. And we'll have him look at everything. There we go, so we can have a look around while he's doing stuff. Follow us around, make sure we're not up to no good. Awesome. Right, so let's add a little bit more armour and a little bit more greebling to the side of this guy. You know you can't get me while you're out there. So why even try? Have a few armor blocks in there. And a bunch of them around. Do you mind? And a bunch of them around the collectors. I think I'll put a few more up here. Ah, but I need more steel plate. And we could probably also do with protecting the rotor on this little robot's head. So let's add a few more armor blocks around the top here. That looks pretty good. Might make a few adjustments to his hinge and rotor limits on his head. So we'll have a few more bits of armor across here. If I had more steel plates. We'll get a few beam blocks under there. Then we can have a few more beam blocks in the back. And a matching set of armor blocks. And then we can have a few more armor blocks up at the top. And then we could have a little bit more armor up here. Then we can hopefully sneak a few more blocks up here to attach to the side of these thrusters. Right, well, we'll have to put an armor corner tip on this side because that wheel gets in the way apparently. Okay then, I think the armoring and the greebling is pretty much done. I've adjusted a few of his settings and tweaked a few little things here and there. But he is pretty nicely covered in armor now. I can comfortably walk underneath him, I can access everything. I've got control access there. We can get into the containers through these hatches. So now I just need to make a blueprint of this guy, set up a projector over there, and then we can print out another one for the other side of the farm. But I think now that I've got him fully armoured up and ready to go, I'll plant some more mushrooms and we'll give him another full test run just to make certain that everything is working the way it should do. Right, there is a whole bunch of mushrooms. We'll give that a minute to grow, and then we'll see how well he works now that he is fully armoured and fully ready to go. And in the meantime, I might get rid of these spiders. Yeah, man. There you go. Have you got any mates with you? We should probably have a look at what our ice is doing. So I grabbed a little over 50,000 kilos. Now down to 45. So about 5-6 per run, maybe? That shouldn't be too bad. Right, mushrooms are at 30%. They shouldn't be too much longer. And there we go, the mushrooms are starting to mature, ready for harvesting. And there we go, the robot is off on his harvesting cycle. Lights come on, the alarm went off. He's doing his thing. He's grabbed all the crops, he is now returning back to his docking station. And he has successfully docked, ready to go again. Awesome. Right, I'm well happy with that. Well then, that was another fairly productive day. We made a few upgrades to the base and improved our access in and out of various buildings. We went on a little adventure for some ice and found a great big lake, and I've got a few plans for that to automate harvesting and returning some of it back to our main base. And speaking of the main base, we upgraded and finally finished our farming robot, and he works beautifully. So I think next time I'm going to probably try and make another one. And we will also think about how we're going to harvest that ice without having to go and get it ourselves every 5 minutes. But for now, I'm going to have a break.